What's up guys, this will be a critique of Mr. Bob's 8.49 3x3 average. If you want to get your solves critiqued, simply send me a video with 5 solves and reconstructions. You can reconstruct the solves using cubedb.net and then send the links using the video description. You can send me the YouTube link in the comments below. Anyways, scrambles and reconstructions are in the description for this average. So he did a Z2, and then here the cross solution is okay. Yeah, nothing wrong with the cross solution, and it leads to a free pair. So I actually see 2 free pairs. Yeah, this one too. So D prime, F, R, D2, R, D, which gave him this free pair. And he then inserted this one, but you had some like hesitation here, and that could be avoided if you just looked a bit further into inspection. It's only like a 5-move cross, and you can plan 2 pairs when that happens since you're at a pretty fast level. So that's what I recommend doing. Personally, I try to plan 2 pairs as much as possible, even if it takes longer than 15 seconds of inspection. So yeah, don't be afraid of going over the inspection limit. It helps in improving your inspection ability. Anyways, after inserting the pair, you now had these 2 pairs, and you solved this pair by pairing it up and inserting like that. And while it's not bad, every time when you have an edge solve or a corner solved and an empty slot, it's always better to do a keyhole. And in this case, it would be D2 to move the slot over here, so you can insert the corner with the LUL prime and then do a D2 to realign. You could also do right by doing YG2, insert the pair, and then you can just do a D2. That way you have your last slot like that. And now you get an OLL skip, which is pretty nice. But anyways, the 3rd pair, and then for the 4th pair, a lot of hesitation. So you did a Y prime U2, L prime U prime UL, U2, L prime U prime L, U2, L prime L. Okay, so all of this is unnecessary, of course, and you can solve this pair from this angle by doing R, B prime, wide R prime, U, wide R, B, R prime. And you could also think of it as wide L, U prime, L prime, U, L, U, wide L prime. And it's basically just this F12 case here, except the first and last moves are wide. So, and it gives you all your EO in this case. But anyways, you did a lot of hesitations here, and that's unnecessary. Anyways, you had OLL and an A perm. So, oh, just making sure though, you should be doing D2 with either ring pinky or pinky ring. It's always better to do that, and ring middle is bad no matter what. It's always going to be slower, and because like no one, even fast cubers like Maddie who do ring middle, they do it much slower than other people. Most people do ring pinky or pinky ring, and they can get it sub 0.5. But people like Maddie who don't use ring pinky or pinky ring end up doing it in a much slower time, maybe like 0.7, and then they also tend to mess up more on A perm simply because doing ring middle is more risky and it's also worse. So yeah, make sure you're doing ring pinky. If you already do it, then great, but to the viewers that are not doing it, you should definitely do it. And also, if you don't know already, you can just do the AUF like that with the push U, and that's regripless and very fast. So yeah, that's the first solve. Something I noticed about your turning though is like when you have U-turns, you tend to bend your finger a little bit like this, and it's only very slightly. It's not the biggest. Like when you did the sledge, for example, it was kind of like a little bit like that. And you want to be turning with this part of your finger and make sure your fingers are bent this way and not the other way around. So if you turn like this, it will be more reliable and faster. Anyways, that's it for the first solve. Okay, so for the second solve, you did an X2 into a U prime D prime, and I see where you messed up. So you were trying to do, I suppose, U prime D and then do the cross, which would work, but you did a u prime d prime, which moved this piece over here, which ended up being wrong, and then r2 d prime. So you kind of just messed up, and messing up can be avoided if you use a bit more inspection time. But anyways, I'm not going to talk too much about that because it's just messing up. Anyways, first pair, you did u prime, y, u prime. Okay, so you solved this pair, right? That's fine, especially since it pairs up this pair. But if you just want to solve it from this angle, you just do r prime, fat f, r prime, fat f prime. These fat f inserts come in really handy during f2l. But anyways, rotate into this. And by the way, though, you did do a u prime y u prime. So u prime y u prime, and you could actually just do u2y or just do a different solution. So it's always better to do u2y, which is 2 moves, rather than u prime y u prime. It just takes longer. So yeah. Anyways, there is a way to just solve it from like this AUF, and it's just r u prime u2 r u r prime. Or you can do R, B, U2, B prime, R prime. This one's very underrated, especially for the back slots. Or the lefty slots. But anyways, you did this, and you had a free pair. And you did a Y, U prime, U, Y prime, L prime, UL. So, yeah, a lot of hesitations. I've noticed that in your F2L. And you can avoid that by trying to recognize the case before you actually do any moves. Next, for the last pair, you did a rotation into pairing it up and insert like that, but you could just do it from this angle, which I recommend, because this pair would be rotationless if you do that. So R prime, insert the pair R, and you can actually cancel by doing R prime L, U2, L prime, and then cancel into pairing it up and inserting. But anyways, you did this pair like that. And here what I would do actually, I would, if I'm from this angle already, I would just insert the pair and then cancel into pairing this pair up, rotating, and then here I can cancel into inserting this cross edge like that, and that would flow really well. But anyways, that's not what you did, and you did just solve the pair without canceling, and then without canceling to here either. But that gave you the same last layer. And okay, so here you should have just done either a U lefty sexy, or a U prime F, R U prime R prime U, R U R prime F prime. Or you can just do R prime, U prime, R, U, back sledge. This one's kind of underrated. The back sledge is executed like that. And it's not actually that risky. But anyways, you did this, which gave you an N perm. And the N perm alg you did is fine, but you did a U prime at the start. I guess that works too, but the alg I would do would be either this one, or the inverse. So both of these at the best can be done in 0.8, while the standard RUF can only be done in like, you know, like 0.99. It's only barely sub 1, and most of the time in solves it's not sub 1. It's so long that it's really hard to get it sub 1 out of solves, let alone in solves. So I like using this alg because it's less moves and less chances of locking up. The longer an alg is, more I would lock up on it, especially for a very long alg like that, N perm. But anyways, if I do a shorter alg, I'll end up locking up less. Third solve was actually pretty fast, and believe it or not, it's because you turn faster. Now I noticed for the first two solves you were turning at like a 60% to 70% max TPS, while on the third solve you were turning much faster, and it resulted in a better time. So I really recommend just turning as fast as possible. You can practice just spamming TPS, and you'll still be able to look ahead most of the time, especially if you plan more pairs. And that happened in this solve because you had an X cross, and you were able to plan more, and you were able to turn faster because you're more confident in your look ahead. But you can do this all of the time and it would still work. So yeah, I do recommend trying to turn a bit faster, as the faster you turn, the faster you will be, as seen in your video. Anyways, X2, Y prime. Okay, so you did an X cross, but you rotated in the middle of your X cross, and you should never ever rotate in the middle of cross. There's never a situation where it's actually worth it to rotate in the middle of a cross. You can either start it from a different angle or do the middle differently or end it differently, but there's never a time where you would actually rotate in the middle of the next cross and still be optimal. So D prime R prime is fine, and then you did a D prime after rotating and then R prime F2R, and there is a very nice way to avoid the rotation. So from here, D prime R prime, you can just do a wide U prime and then R prime F2R, and you have successfully avoided the rotation. So whenever you have a D move rotation, you can always replace it with a wide U move. It works especially during F12 or during X crosses like this one. Now, for the second pair, it's completely fine. Not much to say about that. Next, it looks like a very long pair. So, okay. You solved this pair, which is not a good choice because you can just do this one instead. Although... yeah, this is a difficult situation. You could actually solve this pair in a way that would take out this pair, and how you would do it is rotate into R, U, F, R, F from R prime, and now you have a very nice pair. Anyways, that's very hard to see, so what you did would work as well. So it looks like you did a U prime, L, U prime, L prime, U, R prime, U, R, U prime, R prime, U prime, R, Y. Okay, that's very long and it's not good. Although, from here you could cancel into pairing this pair up with the U2. That's not really important though, so I'm gonna go back to what you had, which was this. So, first of all, you took it out, and from here, there's a 5 mover. So you can do R, U prime, R2 prime, U prime, R. And I would honestly say that's a good solution for the pair when the slot is empty. From here, it would be fat F, R prime, fat F prime, R, U prime, R2 prime, U, R. And it would be very good. However, that's not what you did. From here, I don't really recommend it that much because you can just rotate here. But if you want to solve it from here, you can do something like L, U prime, L, U, and then F, U, F prime, L2, like that. But I would just rotate into solution from this angle, R2 prime, F prime, U prime, F, U, R, U prime, R, like. But since you have the slot empty, you can just do, like I said, this solution, or you can do it from this angle by taking it out first and then doing that. Anyways, what you did was this very long solution, and then here you had this pair. Now, oh, nice, you did a good alg for it, and you did it nicely. Now, for the T-perm execution, at the end of the alg, you did this, and then you had trouble with it. So for executing T-perm, especially the R, U, R prime, F prime part, I don't recommend pinching the U and then doing an F prime like that. Because you're doing 4 moves in a row with your right hand, it ends up being a little hard to do, and you end up locking up on it. So how I do it is I actually just push the U like that, and that makes it much easier for me to do the alg. Like that. Of course, though, you could also do the F prime with your left index. That would also solve the problem, like that. But just don't do anything where you do a combination of pinch and then doing a thumb F prime, because that overworks your right hand and it results in a lot of lockups. So I don't recommend doing that. But the 2 executions that I recommend are either doing a push U into that or doing a pinch U into left index F prime. And you could also combine those with a double flick, and it would look like double flick and then U like that. Or you can do double flick into pinch U and then left index F prime. So yeah, do any one of those executions, just don't do the one that you did. And the same applies to J-perm. So like J-perm, you don't want to be starting the alg like this, because it's not reliable compared to something like pinch U, left index F prime, more reliable. Or you can do push U into thumb F prime, which will work. Just never do a combination of pinch and then thumb F prime. It just doesn't work as well. There's people that do it, but it's much more susceptible. Wait, how do you even say that?
Susceptible.
It's much more easy to lock up on, and I see a lot of people locking up on this execution like that, but I don't see anyone locking up on this execution because it just flows a lot better. So yeah. You didn't post the reconstruction to the fourth solve, so I'm only going to critique the last solve. 4 solves is enough considering how long the video is anyways. If you check the links in your description, I think you link the third solve twice. So anyways, y prime into a pretty nice x cross, so d prime, l, f prime, and then r prime, f prime, d prime, r2, d. Now that's a pretty good x cross, but you did not see this repair, and if you looked further into inspection, you would have seen it. And I would just take this out before aligning and then inserting. You can either do that or take it out the other way and then insert the other way. I'd probably opt for that solution because you get a nicer last 2 slots, but you did not do that and you just did a D. And next pair you did was this pair. Okay, it's fine. I'm not gonna really judge that because the other pairs aren't necessarily better. So it's not a big deal that you did this. Although you could do something like JSS and like, you know, okay, here to orient the edge and not get a bad edge, you would do R prime U FR and then solve these 2 cases normally. This one you can actually do that. So you just insert it normally, and okay, big hesitations here, and really these hesitations are basically your only weakness. You're pretty good at F2L, but anyways, you ended up doing the same pair again. Yeah, okay. You actually paired up this pair, but you weren't able to see that in time. And you did a rotation to Y, U prime, U prime. Now for this pair, you wouldn't want to do U prime, U prime, or even U2 prime. You want to just do a U2. So you do a U2 with your right hand, and then U2 prime with your left hand, which makes the alg flow like this. But you end up doing U prime, which is kind of a slight hesitation, and another U prime. So here you would either do a U2 or a U2 prime, and not a U prime. But anyways, OLL and PLL. Now for this angle, I do actually recommend the inverse of the alg you did. So I would do that and then a U, simply because you're saving on AUF. Doing your alg, you have to do a U2 alg and then U2. But if you do a U, this alg, and then you save on AUF. And just so you know, U2 prime and then regroup during the U2 prime, and then for the last move you would do a U2 prime again. So yeah, that's pretty much it for this critique. There's not a lot of things that you need to work on. Like you're pretty good at solving. Yeah, you're pretty smooth. Not a lot of things wrong, but yeah, just a lot of hesitations in F2L. And the reason for that is that you're not planning enough in inspection. You could use way more inspection time, and you could come up with more creative solutions. Even if it takes longer than 15 seconds, it would be worth it. You can also turn a bit faster in F2L. Just make sure that you aren't doing moves before you recognize a case. Now, I do also recommend checking a few more of my F2L tutorials, especially my last lot F2L tutorial, because it shows a lot of last lot F2L cases that you really should be using. Link in the description. But your OLL and PLL algs all seem very nice, so I'm not going to talk a lot about that. The last thing I'm going to say is your finger tricks. You kind of do a little bit too much movement on your U and F turns. Like you kind of do this, especially for the F prime in the sexy sledge. I noticed you're kind of doing it like this, and you want to be turning with this part of your finger and make sure your fingers are bending this way rather than the other way like that. But your turning is mostly fine. Just keep that in mind. And yeah, that's it for the critique. If you want to get your solves critique, once again, send me 5 solves with reconstructions and link them in the description of your video. Then send me the solves in the comment section below. Thanks for watching.